everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is the first video of my channel and I thought today I would share some advice and tips on PhD applications as well as the interviews. So if you're interested in applying for PhDs, and I know it's a prime time for this time of the year, around January is normally when a lot of adverts start coming out for the upcoming academic year. And so I thought I would give you some tips from my own personal experience. This is by no means a guide to how you should do things. You know, you can talk to other people, of course, as well, but this is just from my experience. So first of all, if you are looking for any PhD, the best website, in my opinion, to go on to find one is Findaphdcom. And the reason for that is that it's sort of like a search engine for the PhD adverts. So you can input what university you would like to go to or what location you want to be in geographically, and also the subject area and whether you want the project to be funded. And it will basically come up with a list of all the available PhD adverts, their deadlines, and of course how they're funded, whether you will have to pay for it yourself, so a self-funded project, or fully funded or competitively funded project, and then you can decide and look through the adverts. The advert would contain not only the name of a PhD project, but also the supervisor's details and the brief description of the project itself. Or if you have a specific university in mind already, I suggest you check their own website as well for any PhD programs that might interest you. So once you've found a few projects that might interest you, I suggest that you get in touch with the supervisors listed by email before you submit an application. The reason for that is that some applications might require for you to write a project proposal, and it's quite tricky to do based on just brief description of the project itself given in an advert. So what you can do is you can send your CV and cover letter directly to the supervisor that you're interested working for, and then you can arrange a date and time to chat over Skype or Zoom. So that would give you a better indication of what the project is about and how you can actually apply yourself to the project, whether you have a relevant experience, techniques, etc. Application process itself is normally done online via university officials' website, where you would submit your sort of ID document, certification, and your CV and cover letter. I strongly suggest that you apply for a few different PhDs, even if you're interested only in one, just because it increases your chances of not only getting an interview, but actually getting a PhD itself. So, but bear in mind that quality is over quantity, so don't overstretch yourself, don't apply to too many PhDs. You should have like a skeleton cover letter already written, and then you can tweak the first couple of paragraphs depending on the project you are applying for directly, such as changing the supervisor's name, of course, changing the project titles, and talking about why this particular project is suited for you and what experience you have that you can apply for the project in future. So that's how the application is being done. And in preparation for the interview, my advice would be to check Findaphdcom website for tips and advice. They have that page on their website where they talk about PhD interviews, which is really helpful. Talk to your peers, talk to your personal tutor, talk to your current supervisor and about what advice they can give you. But what I would say is think about the common questions you might get asked, because the chances are that in 90% of the interviews, the most common questions would be describe yourself in a couple of sentences. So have a model answer already in mind that talks about your past experience, your present job or your present education that you're in right now, and what future aspirations you have for your career. Why did you pick this particular institution or university? And I think this is a really good question to be prepared for. Check out the university's webpage for facilities they might have that might really help your project. Maybe they have some amazing equipment that, you know, might not be available in other universities within that country, for example, or something that really makes them special, that particular center of research or institution. So really have a look at that and why this particular project. So you might be interested in a subject area, but why this supervisor? You know, is there anything really interesting that this research group has published in recent years that you've read about? And reading of the background is actually really, really important. I suggest that before your interview, you would spend at least a couple of days reading the background, because that would show them at the interview that you are dedicated and that you really know your subject and your literature behind it. And what do their competitors put out in the world? What is their group of people that have similar research, and what sort of publications do they produce? And also another common question would be, where do you see yourself in 5 and 10 years time? So obviously the answers for those two sub-questions would be different. You could say that in 5 years time you see yourself as finishing your PhD and perhaps acquiring a job in academia or in industry, and then in 10 years time your career would have hopefully progressed by that stage. And where do you see yourself then? So dedicate some time researching the career paths after your PhD and how you could answer that question from an informed point of view. And also the question that did come up in my own interview in the past was, have you ever had to deal with difficult people, and how do you deal in conflicts? And I was honest about it, and you know, you just have to come up with examples. It doesn't necessarily have to be a job in academia that you might have had, maybe any other job where you had to deal with difficult people. And the reason for that is, you know, any job means that you will and inadvertently come across working with difficult people, and how are you prepared for that? Are you prepared to take on this challenge? And I think this is it from me for all the tips regarding finding your PhD project, applying for it, and interviews. If you have any specific questions to me, please drop them down below, and I'm looking forward to reading your comments, and I hope this has been helpful. Thank you very much for watching. See you soon.